Pelé and Garrincha, Zidane and Henry, Messi and Di Maria. Every generation has a duo that defines a World Cup. But this one is already putting up numbers that put the previous generations to shame. 7 goals. 7 assists. And we're only in the round of 16. One sees passes that don't exist. The other finishes before defenders even react. Together, they don't play football. They hunt. Kylian Mbappe and Olise. A partnership nobody predicted, but one the world is starting to fear. Some people are already calling them the most scariest duo in World Cup history. The group stage, round of 32 and 16, was just a warning. The real storm is yet to come. In 1958 and 1962, Brazil built its attack around Pelé and Garrincha. Pelé provided the goals. Even as a teenager, Garrincha provided unpredictability on the wing. When both started together, Brazil never lost a World Cup match. They didn't operate as a structured duo in the modern sense, but their presence on the pitch made Brazil's attack almost impossible to contain. Fast forward to 1998, France won their first World Cup on home soil. At the center of it was Zidane. Not as a goal scorer, but as the control point of the entire team. He dictated tempo, kept possession under pressure, and allowed France to dominate matches without needing chaos. Thierry Henry was part of that squad as a young forward, still developing at international level. That team didn't rely on a traditional duo system, but Zidane was clearly the focal point of everything France built around. 8 years later, in 2006, the roles were more defined. Zidane, in his final World Cup, was still France's main creative force. Henry had become one of the most dangerous forwards in world football. Zidane controlled games from midfield. Henry finished the chances that came from that control. France reached the World Cup final again, with both players central to that run. For Argentina in 2014 and later in 2022, Messi and Di Maria played key roles in their World Cup campaigns. Messi was the primary creator and scorer, carrying much of the attacking responsibility. Di Maria added width, movement, and key goals in decisive moments. Together, they were part of Argentina's path to 2 World Cup finals, winning in 2022. Different eras, different systems, different roles, but all of these partnerships had one thing in common. They were understood. Defenses knew what they were facing. That is no longer the case, because this isn't a system you can study. It doesn't follow patterns. It doesn't repeat itself. This is something else. Olise, Kylian Mbappe. Welcome to the carnival of the genius and the demon. In their opening match against Senegal, France started in a 4-2-3-1 system. Koundé pushed high from right back, creating overloads on the right side alongside Olise and Dembélé. On the left, Theo Hernandez provided width, with Rabiot and Doué supporting progression. Tchouaméni held his position as a defensive anchor in midfield, controlling transitions and protecting the back line. But the attacking structure quickly showed imbalance. Dembélé, instead of staying wide or functioning as a stable creative link, drifted into deeper, right-sided areas. He was heavily involved in build-up, but his role didn't provide consistent creative progression into the final third. At the same time, France lacked a natural central playmaker between midfield and attack. Tchouaméni stayed disciplined to instantly connect midfield to attack. Even Olise, despite starting wide, was forced to drop deeper at times just to receive and stabilize possession. As a result, France had control of the ball and good territorial presence, but lacked clarity and penetration in the final third. The first half reflected that imbalance. Attacks were structured but predictable, with limited central creativity, and Mbappe often isolated without consistent service into dangerous areas. In the second half, the structure changed. Dembélé returned to a natural right-wing role, while Olise moved into the central number 10 position. This adjustment immediately created a direct link between midfield and attack. Olise now operated between the lines, receiving the ball facing forward instead of dropping deep to find it. Within minutes, he played a forward pass that split the defensive line, and Mbappe attacked the space instantly to finish the move. That moment shifted the entire structure of France's attack. Tchouaméni could remain disciplined in midfield. Rabiot could focus on progression rather than creativity. Dembélé provided width on the right, and Olise became the central connector. From that point on, France's Mbappe's World Cup story began in 2018. At just 19 years old, he became one of the defining players of the tournament, helping France win the World Cup and scoring in the final against Croatia. His pace, movement, and ability to attack space immediately separated him from the rest of the competition. By 2022, his role had completely changed. Mbappe was no longer just a young breakout star. He had become the focal point of France's attack. In many moments, he was responsible not only for finishing chances, but also for carrying attacking transitions and creating danger through individual actions. Despite producing one of the greatest individual World Cup final performances in history, scoring a hat-trick, the underlying issue for France remained structural. Too much of the attacking burden fell on him, and attacks often relied on moments of individual brilliance rather than a stable creative connection through midfield. That is where Michael Olise changes the dynamic. Olise is not defined by volume or constant output. He is defined by timing and perception of space. He operates between defensive lines, receives the ball in forward-facing positions, and consistently plays passes that break structure rather than simply moving possession. Before this tournament, he had already established himself as one of the most effective creative players in Europe, not because he forces chances, but because he identifies them earlier than most players can react. With Olise introduced into the central attacking role, Mbappe no longer needs to drop deep or drift wide to become involved in build-up phases as much. His focus shifts entirely to attacking space in advanced areas and timing his runs behind the defensive line. Olise creates the situation. Mbappe finishes it. This connection immediately changes how France function in attack. Defenders are forced into an impossible decision. If they step forward to deal with Mbappe's runs, Olise is free between the lines to create chances. If they drop deeper to contain Mbappe, Olise controls the space in front of them and dictates play. The result is not just improved chemistry between two players, but a structural problem for any opponent facing France. Every attack now has two reference points, both capable of deciding the game in different ways, and both operating in spaces that cannot be defended at the same time. From the early stages of the tournament, this connection has already shown itself through quick combinations, direct transitions, and attacks that break defensive structure before teams have time to reset. Mbappe attacks the space. Olise creates it, and together, they transform France's attack into something far less predictable and far more dangerous than before. Football has always been a game of structure and solutions. Every dominant team in history has had patterns that could be studied, prepared for, and ultimately contained by the right system. Defenses learn tendencies, coaches adapt shapes, analysts find weaknesses. But every so often a partnership appears that disrupts that entire process. Because the question against France is no longer simple. You cannot commit fully to stopping Mbappe because the space behind you becomes lethal the moment he runs into it. But you also cannot focus entirely on controlling Mbappe because Olise will take over the central spaces and dictate the entire rhythm of the attack. It becomes a choice without a correct answer. And that is what separates this version of France from previous ones. This is not a team built around one dominant star carrying the system. It is a structure where two players amplify each other's strengths. Because most great duos in World Cup history could still be mapped, understood, and prepared for. But this one forces decisions that always lead to compromise. Maybe over time, teams will find ways to slow it down. Maybe injuries or tactical changes will disrupt the balance. Maybe another nation will solve the equation. But right now, in the early stages of this tournament, no partnership has looked as complete in both creation and execution. And history will eventually decide where they belong among the great duos that came before them. But sometimes, history doesn't announce itself loudly. Sometimes it appears in moments, in movements, in connections that look too fast to fully understand in real time. And by the time the world recognizes it, it may already be too late. Maybe this is just a hot run of form. Or maybe this is the beginning of something far more dangerous. Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise, and maybe, just maybe, the scariest duo in World Cup history. If you liked the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below if you also think the same, or this is just another hot take. Till then, see you later.